The Politics, Law, and Economics lecture series is designed to highlight the three institutions that must work together to support and defend a free civil society. Those institutions are the rule of law, good governance, and market-based institutions. Our program for this evening is that our speaker will have 40 to 50 minutes, followed by Q&A. Our speaker this evening is Dr. Stephan Gohmann. He is the BB&T Professor of Free Enterprise and the Director of the John H. Schnatter Center for Free Enterprise at the University of Louisville. His research focuses on entrepreneurship, health economics, information technology acceptance, and the economics of beer. He typically examines the influence of policies on individual decision-making. He's published over 60 academic articles, and the results of his work have been quoted in various news outlets and blogs, including the Wall Street Journal and the Atlantic Constitution Journal. His primary teaching responsibilities are in managerial economics in the MBA program, with an emphasis on the economics of strategy. He also teaches a course on capitalism and economic freedom, and has previously taught labor economics, health economics, econometrics, mathematical economics, and the principles of economics at the undergraduate level, and healthcare economics at the graduate level. He received his undergraduate degree in mathematics and economics at Indiana University, and his PhD in economics from North Carolina State University, and he did postdoctoral work at Duke University. Tonight, he's here to talk about the relationship between economic freedom and entrepreneurship in a talk titled Government and Entrepreneurship. So if you would, please join me in providing a warm Florida Southern welcome to Dr. Steve Gohmann.
Thank you for having me. You guys have a beautiful campus here. I'm standing from the camera. So, is that too loud? Okay. So, government and entrepreneurship topic. So, entrepreneurs are the driving force behind economies. These are the people who come up with ideas, come up with products, or make products better, or make products less costly, and these things make us better off. We need government to protect those property rights and these exchanges we make to make sure that nobody engages in fraud. So we need entrepreneurship and we need government, but in some instances, some people use government further than they should. And so tonight I want to talk a little bit about that. So that outline, we're going to talk about self-interest versus selflessness and what drives the entrepreneur. And then I'll talk about trade and cooperation and competition. Entrepreneurs create wealth, it's pretty straightforward. The role of government, then I'll talk about capitalism and cronyism. And I think this is where we have a big problem in the United States today. And a little bit on economic freedom and then entrepreneurship. So, think about what system gives us the most goods. So, in capitalism, individuals own the means of production. We all have our own property rights, what we own is ours. Versus socialism, where the government or a big group has ownership of the means of production. And this would be aggression against property rights. You can feel the burn here, I think. But there's a difference, is who has the knowledge and who uses that knowledge to use the property. So incentives are very important for people. If I have property, I have an incentive to maintain it, to do what I want with it. And so I'm not going to destroy my property. None of you destroy your cars, do you? Don't destroy your bedroom, maybe you don't clean up your kitchen very well. But for the most part, we want to maintain our property. Why do we do that? Because it's ours. And if we want to get rid of it later on, we want it to have some value so when we sell it to somebody else, we don't lose out. But when you have social ownership, nobody really owns the property. The incentive to maintain it is a lot lower. So there's an example, I can't remember the university, but one university, the Student Government Association said, hey, let's put bikes out on campus. We'll paint them pink so nobody will steal them. We'll put them out on campus and you can just jump on the bike and ride it to class and then you leave it there and then somebody else can use it and ride it to where they need to go. So this sounds like a good idea, it'd be really nice. But what happened? Well, students came out in the middle of the night, a big group of guys, and said, let's see how many people we can put on this bike. And they destroyed the bikes. And other bikes got stolen anyhow, even though they were painted pink. And so this lack of ownership meant a lack of respect for property rights. Now, we've got systems nowadays, though, where you have bikes that you can actually rent. And so you have to put in your credit card, and when you rent that bike, you're not going to tear it up because they've got your credit card. You bring it back all torn up, then it's going to be a problem. And so that system kind of works relative to when you have bikes just out there for free. So the difference between socialism, capitalism, in capitalism, individuals own the property rights, individuals make the decisions. In socialism, central planners are making the decisions. And so there's a big difference in decision making. In the Soviet Union, when it still existed, the government would mandate to people making nails, we want so many tons of nails. Well, if I'm the operator, the manager of that nail company, I'm going to make really big, heavy nails. And so that's what he did. And so they delivered them, and they said, well, no, we want millions and 20 million nails. And so then he made a bunch of really small packs because then he could make that as most efficiently. Well, this is the problem in this socialist system, is there's no price mechanism to tell this nail maker what kind of nails to produce. And so this was an important debate during the 1930s and 40s between Ludwig von Mises and Oscar Lange. And Mises was arguing that we have to have a price system to understand what it is that people want. We have to have a price system as producers to understand which resources we should use and which resources we shouldn't use. And if I make a profit, then I know I'm adding value to resources. This is what entrepreneurs do. So when you have individual property rights, you have more freedom, more dignity, responsibility. We don't tear up our property. It's more humanitarian. And so freedom is the power to make decisions on what you want to do with your property. And so your property is also your money. So what you buy, what you sell. So Mises said that for capitalism, if history could teach us anything, it would be that private property is inextricably linked with civilization. So we look back in time, and all the way up until about 1860, per capita income, so income for every person in the world, was less than $600. Can you imagine living on $600 for a whole year? And then what happened? In the 1880s, this per capita income started to rise, and it's risen, so it's very, very high today. And what happened in that time period is people's property rights were recognized. People could own stuff. People could own buildings. People could own land. And the consequence was they were able to produce, had the incentive to increase the value of their property and to exchange that property. So, what drives an entrepreneur? Think about trading. I don't know, maybe some of you have done this in your classes, principles classes. But think about the things that you have. And what we'll do in principles class, for example. Suppose there's two types of candy bars, Reese's Cups and Snickers bars. And if your professor just randomly distributed those Snickers bars and those Reese's Cups amongst you, you might be happy. If you like Snickers bar, you got the Snickers bar. But if you like Reese's Cup, you wouldn't be as happy. And so what would you do? What did everybody do after Halloween when you went to school the next day? What would you do? Dump out the candy and start trading, right? And what do we trade for? Because it makes us better off. Now, should anybody get in the way you're trading your candy? If they do, they're making you less better off, right? Somebody says, oh, well, you can trade your candy, but you have to give the principal 5 pieces. Well, that would make you worse off. And so trade increases people's wealth, increases your wealth, and wealth is what you value. So you got something you value more, and you traded something you valued less. And so you made yourself much better off. And this is what we do when we trade. And this is what entrepreneurs do when they produce products. They're going to trade something they value less, whatever their new product is, for something they value more, which is your money. And you're going to trade in your money for the product that you value more than your money. And this is the gains from trading. It's mutually beneficial. In a socialist system, that wouldn't quite work because you still might trade, but the things you wanted might not be produced. Now, selflessness would be when you're motivated by no concern for yourself. So is anybody here selfless? Anybody ever claim that they're selfless in here? Even Mother Teresa, I don't know if she was selfless or not. But what if everybody was selfless? Everybody cared so much about other people that they would only do stuff for other people. So let's say there's two apples up here. One's a big one, one's a small one. And so I ask these two, I say, hey, come up and get an apple. They're selfless. And so Professor Rodet picks the big one up. And so she said, well, why did you pick up the big one? And then he goes, oh, no, it's wrong. You should take the big one, right? Because I'm selfless. You have it. And she goes, no, I can't take it. You need to have it. You can never agree on even what people should have. And so it's a good thing you picked up the big one, I guess. But it just, you wouldn't be able to get any exchanges done. You go to the store and say, well, I want to pay you $100 for this bottle of water. And the store says, no, I want to give it to you. And you can never agree on a price. But when we're self-interested, we come to a price that we both agree on. The seller says, well, I'm going to charge you $1 for this bottle of water. And I say, okay, it's worth $1, and I buy it from you. If it's not worth $1 to me, I don't buy it from you. And so this is the way trade works. But it's because I'm self-interested, not because I'm selfless. And it's because the other guy is self-interested too, that this works. And so self-interest and selfishness are often similar. But selfishness has a really bad connotation. But if you're self-interested, you're doing what's best for yourself. It also means that you care about other people. So businesses that don't care about other people are going to be in business. So there's a lot of morality behind true capitalism. If you want to make money, you got to make the customer king. You got to make the customer happy. And not only that, you got to make your employees happy. Then you got to make your suppliers happy. And so it works all the way around. That everybody you have to work to make everybody happy. And because it's your own selfish interest, because you'll make more money doing it that way. All right, so look around. How do we get exactly the right amount of stuff, like turkeys at Thanksgiving, or cars, or gas? How does that show up at Thanksgiving? There's so many turkeys that people want to buy, and every year there's always turkeys at the grocery store. Why does that happen? Well, entrepreneurs have found ways to determine whether or not to produce a product, and that's the profit. People think they can earn a profit, they're going to supply you with the goods they think you might want to pay for. Now, they don't always get it right. A lot of entrepreneurs fail. It's a great area to be in, but it's not always a successful area. But entrepreneurs find better ways to get people goods. And it's all because of this voluntary exchange of private property. And when we impede this voluntary exchange, then we are taking away some people's benefits. So, profits earned when you trade value for value, and it's a reward for innovating. So what I mean with value for value is you trade something you value less for something you value more. Both sides profit on a trade. We don't calculate our profits when I say, oh, I bought this water and I made a profit. But I did. If I valued this water at $1.10 and it cost $1, what did I do? I made a 10-cent profit. And so I'm better off. The water producer might have produced this for 50 cents, and I gave him $1, so he was better off by 50 cents. His profit is an accounting profit. Mine is an increase in my wealth, increase in my value profit. So, look at what you have today that your parents did, or I did. So that's what I used to use. You know what that is? So when my probably 15, 20 years ago, my niece was in town. She was pretty young. And my parents had one of these phones out in our garage. And she went up and she said, Mom, where do you push the buttons? So she didn't even know how to use it. And so what you have now is you've got a computer that's better than what they put up on the moon. The computer that's sitting into the moon was not as strong as your iPhone that you have. Why do we have this today? Because people innovated and realized, oh, there might be an opportunity for me to make money if I produce these products that others people want. So you look around, people want to be happy. What's our goal? Our goal is to have a fulfilling lifetime. And there's lots of ways to do that. But we have latent demands. There are the things that are being produced today that we want, but we don't know what they are. And when they come out on the marketplace, we say, oh, this is great, I want this. And so, when I was young, see, when you're old, you get all this wisdom, or at least you have this knowledge about going through things. But they came out with the Walkman, and the Walkman was just a radio. You could wear it in your hip with headphones, and then it had a cassette player too. But this was like a big deal. You could finally listen to music and not be constrained to the room where your speakers were. And this was like a huge innovation. And Sony even had salespeople out there at stores showing people how to use it and asking, what would you like to see different? So they could innovate and make the product better. Well, that was the beginning of what we have now, and we don't even listen to cassettes anymore, and we don't listen to records anymore, or CDs anymore. It's all on the internet, isn't it? But those innovations happen over time, so you can imagine, we think about innovation, it also started going up in the 1880s, and it's been going up geometrically, so you can imagine another 20 or 30 years from now, how much benefit we will have as long as entrepreneurs are free to engage in these activities. So a good thing about capitalism, it knocks people out of the market. So this is a picture of a couple ice skating with this little thing holding a baby. That product, I don't think it's sold. But somebody probably has a patent on that. You could probably go to the patent office and find that patent. But, so capitalism says letting the market kill every bad idea. And that's what it does. So not all entrepreneurs are successful. But the ones that are make a lot of money and they make us better off. So, why do sellers sell? They want to make a profit. Why do you work? What do you guys work for? You work for money. You want to make a profit on your time, right? You're willing to sell your time to your employer because the dollars he gives you or she gives you is more valuable than the time you gave up. And so you're making a profit. So everybody profits when they make trades. Profit's not some sort of dirty word. We all want to make profits. When you go to the store, I don't know if you've ever done this, let's say you go to the store and you want to buy a shirt. And so you pick it up and you walk around for a while. And you think, I don't think I want it. And you put it back down. Why? Because you didn't think it was worth enough. You weren't going to profit enough from it. Other times you go to the store and it's 50% off and you buy it. It's like, man, I got a great deal. What you're saying is, I made a big profit. So profit's a good thing. We all want to profit. So Adam Smith knew this. In 1776 when he wrote the Law of Nations, and some of you guys probably heard this before, but it's not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, and the baker that we can expect our dinner, but from their regard for their own interests. The brewer is going to make beer for you because he wants to make money. He's going to care for you to the extent that he can make money off of you. And that's good, because he's going to make the beer that you want. Same with the baker, same with the butcher. So this is what drives entrepreneurs. And the same thing with us buying. I don't care about the guy that makes the microbrew beer that much. Some of them I know and I like them, and I want to go to the breweries because I like them. But if I go there, it's because they have good beer. And I'm willing to give up my money because I think the beer is worth more than my money. We have a little time at the end, I'll tell you about the economics of beer. Yeah? So, trade results in cooperation. A free market is the most cooperative institution we have. Why? Because we have to cooperate to engage in trades. We have to be trustworthy to engage in trades. By engaging in fraud, this is where we need government. When the contract is broken or I do something fraudulent, now we need the government to come in and adjudicate this and fix the situation. But there's huge gains from trade that we get. It's because we cooperate with one another. We're willing to trade with each other. And some unknown person made this bottle of water, but they gain from this trade. I don't know who it is. Somebody bought the phone to you. I don't know who it is, so thank you. So many argue that capitalism is uncaring and uncooperative, but it's just the opposite. It's very cooperative because that's the only way we can trade. You think about initially when men first came into existence. And so societies formed. And these societies were probably very socialistic societies. So you had groups of people, and they would, hunters would go out and hunt, gatherers would gather, and they'd come back and put everything in a pile and everybody would share it. Very socialistic. But what happened when they ran into another tribe? They had two options. They could either fight or they could cooperate. And you're what, the ones that fought? We don't know about those tribes because they're not here anymore. The ones that cooperated are the ones that produced all of us. And it's cooperation that ended up that these guys, these tribes would start trading. And so this extended order of people, you know, we have our own friends, our family and stuff, that would be the tribe we're in. But then this extended order of all these other people we deal with that we really don't know. And so this is because of capitalism, we cooperate with them. We have this rule of law that we follow, and as a consequence, we're all better off. Nobody's popping each other over the head much. So when we deal with people over and over, we have an incentive to treat each other well. When you only deal with somebody once, your incentive may not be as big. But nowadays, with the internet, it probably is fairly big. Because if you take advantage of one person, what are they going to do? They're going to put it up on the internet and word will get out about your company or your business that you're taking advantage of. So, if I were to make money, I have to please my customers. It's pretty simple. John Mackey's book, Conscious Capitalism, I've got a reading group review about, we just went through that book last night. But he talks about the same ideas. John Schnatter, by the way, John Schnatter funded my center. John Schnatter's Papa John's Pizza. I don't know who it is, but it's just, he's got the same attitude. You treat your suppliers well, you treat your employees well, you treat your customers well, you treat your investors well. You don't take advantage. And as a consequence, this is a long-term strategy, and you're much better off. So, in a free market, the consumer's king, not the producer. Why is the consumer king? Because the consumer can make you money or make you poor by buying or not buying your product. And this is important because it makes you have to be innovative to stay in business. If Apple just stayed with their first iPhone, they wouldn't be in business. If Samsung stayed with their first phone, they wouldn't be in business now. They have to innovate because if they don't, somebody else will. And why do they innovate? Because we consumers are willing to buy these new shiny trinkets and think we're better off. And so they add more bells and whistles to our phones. They make them bigger, they make them smaller, they make them do other things. But we're willing to pay for it, and if we're willing to pay for it, they're willing to innovate. So through buying and selling, everyone has a voice. We vote with our dollar. When you buy something, you're telling that business person, I like your stuff. If you don't buy from somebody, you're not telling them I don't like your stuff, but in effect, that's what you're doing. And so you've got two grocery stores next to each other, you choose the one that you like their stuff. If you don't like a company's business practices, you choose not to buy from them. There's certain performers whose music I won't buy, even though I think they have really great voices, because I don't like them. It's kind of silly, but I'm not going to give them my money. And you can do that. And I think that's a cool thing about the marketplace. Dollars matter. When government makes these decisions, though, you're not free to change jobs or maybe buy from someone else. So oftentimes, there might be restrictions on the number of people that can sell a certain product. And if that's the case, you don't get as many choices, and you won't see as much innovation because if there's not as much competition, there's not as much incentive to innovate. So I just did a seminar down here in Orlando this weekend, and one of the books we read was Fatal Conceit by F.A. Hayek. And so as I was reading through it, I saw this, I just thought I'd throw it in the notes here. The profit works as a signal that guides selection towards what makes man more fruitful. Only what is more profitable will, as a rule, nourish more people, for it sacrifices less than it adds. So, entrepreneurs have to be efficient. They have to use the minimum amount of resources to produce this product, which means there's more resources available for us to have other products. So this is where we get this growth. We're taking combinations of resources, we're finding a recipe that's very efficient, and making people better off. And so we know, a business person knows he or she's making people better off if they're making a profit. because that's the signal. Profits say people value this product more than it cost us to make it. And so businesses that do a really good job have really good profits, businesses that not such a good job might not have as big profits. And human kind of recognize this, that all men do service to another without varying in any real kindness. And so again, we're in business for our self-interest, and that's why we're interested in it. Now, we're interested in our local community and our smaller group, but for the bigger extended order, we're just interested in selling the product and satisfying the consumer. All right, which system's more moral, socialism or capitalism? In a socialist system, we're helping people. We care, don't we? Government's going to determine what goods there are. Everybody's going to get from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. So everybody's needs will be fulfilled. So government will take care of it. Seems fairly moral, doesn't it? Taking care of others. In fact, this is why Marx used the term socialism. Marx never coined the phrase capitalism, but he used the term socialism because it's better than government intervention, right? That sounds bad. Social, it's society. And when we think about society, again, that's our small group of friends, our family. It's not the extended order. But the extended order is completely different. Those are the people we don't know, but we're still going to cooperate with. And so socialism sounds good. Capitalism is self-interest. You guys are moral, you only care about yourself, right? That's sort of moral. But which one is moral? What does it mean to be moral? So I was giving a talk at University of Virginia, College of Wise. It's in the coal mining area of Virginia. And so this guy invited me down. I went down there and he said, "Oh, you'll have to meet my department chair, David Kendall." I said, "David Kendall?" I said, "I know David Kendall. He was my office mate in graduate school. I hadn't seen him. His last year was my first year of graduate school, so I really didn't know him very well. I've got this young punk, and he's this wise old guy. Anyhow, so he's down there, and he wrote this book called Morality and Capitalism. And he kind of goes through what does it mean to be moral. And he comes up with this Kantian thing: do not compel unjustly. Don't force somebody to do something unjust. That sounds like morality. Is socialism moral, or does it force people unjustly? Does it allow you to do what you want to do? Does it allow you to have property? No. Do we want to make people worse off? No. What about capitalism? Capitalism says you've got property, you can do what you want with it, as long as you don't harm others. There's a harm principle there. Of course, then you're compelling them unjustly. And so capitalism has to be a moral system because you engage in trade, you cooperate, you do not compel unjustly in a capitalist system. In a socialist system, we do. Now, that doesn't mean businesses aren't immoral. It's not businesses, though. Businesses are not people. It's individuals who are immoral. And so we see people doing bad things. And this is true in government, in business, in churches, everywhere. There's some big people that are immoral. Most people, I think, are very immoral. But some are not. And people who are immoral are going to get short-term gain over long-run profits. They're going to take advantage of people. And that's not a good long-term strategy. But some people get away with it. Bernie Madoff made a lot of money for a while, didn't he? Self-destructive. Well, it really wasn't even self-interest. Self-interest would be long-term interest. What Bernie Madoff did was probably self-destructive. But when you have repeated gains, what I mean here is when you interact with people over and over and over again, you've got an incentive to produce quality products for the long run. You know, if you're on the highway and you're in the middle of nowhere and you stop at a restaurant, it's the only thing in town, there's one restaurant. Maybe it's not even a town, it's just a restaurant on the highway. The food there might not be as good because that person is never going to see you again and doesn't have to worry about the quality stuff. You're still willing to make the trade with this person. But if you had some competition, in that case, you would probably have to have better quality food. So, we need a legal system. Capitalism is not a system where there's no law. And so what do we need? We need a legal system that reduces fraud and enforces property rights. And of course, we need government to protect our property, and we need government to protect our borders if we have borders. So, where businesses hide information that have adverse effects on consumers, it's probably good to get that information out. Because otherwise, you're engaging in fraud. You're compelling somebody unjustly by selling them something that might harm them. So the problem is, some people are bad people. This happens under capitalism, happens under socialism, or any other ism you want to talk about. There are bad people. Look at Venezuela today. Venezuela is in horrible shape. There's a lot of people at the top of the probably living pretty well. Much better than any of us in here. And it's because they are immoral people. So, the problem we have in any system is what's called cronyism. People call it crony capitalism. It's not capitalism, it's just cronyism. And it really has to do with crony government, because the only way you can engage in cronyism is you have to have a government that will set up rules that will benefit you and harm your competitors. And so the business can't produce enough value for consumers, where else can it go for profits? Well, you could go to Don Vito Corleone, right, the Godfather, and you say, hey, let's say I've got a garbage collection company and there's another one in my town. And so I go to Vito and I say, hey, this guy's really taking me to the cleaners. Can you go enforce a little bit something on it? Maybe make him pay 10% of his revenues to you and give me 5% of that. And so he would do that, and this other garbage collector would have to raise his prices. I would become more competitive, and this makes me better off, so this is a good deal, right? But he's making another person worse off. He's compelling unjustly. Well, none of us are going to engage in, well, hopefully none of you are going to engage in these activities with the mafia. But my big fear is you might engage with somebody that's just as strong as the mafia, probably stronger. And that would be the government. So cronyism is when you ask the government to give you or your business special favors that harms other people. We're supposed to be equal under the law, but with cronyism, some people are more equal than others. So, cronyism limits economic opportunity. It makes people much worse off, but it benefits the favored few. It only works this way. This is the way all the lobbying in Congress works, is that the corn producers will go and say, hey, we need an ethanol subsidy. And the government will say, oh, well, that's maybe a good idea. We'll reduce pollution, maybe. And so there's only like 4 or 5 states that produce a lot of corn. So there's only 4 or 5 senators that should be voting for this. All the rest of the senators should say, no, this isn't a good deal. We're going to be spending money on corn, and it's going to make everybody worse off. The corn prices will go up. Corn will cost more to eat because we're putting a lot of it in our gas tanks and burning it up. And so what happens, though, is in Congress, the senators from those 5 states will get other senators and other congressmen to vote for their bill if they vote for a sugar subsidy, a sugar tax. And so we have big sugar taxes in the United States. So we don't import sugar from South America. This is why your Cokes have high fructose corn syrup instead of sugar. And if you get the sugar colas, they're actually tastier. You guys have probably had them. But it benefits a few, the small few, at a cost to society as a whole. We probably pay 50 cents a gallon for our milk, more than the price should be because of milk subsidies. Well, complain to your congressman. What's he going to say? Thank you for your letter and your concern. I'll see what I can do. Because each one of us wants 50 cents a gallon, right? Probably drink 50 gallons a year, so it's $25. So what? It's not even worth it to write the letter. But think about if you're a milk producer. You're getting $25 a gallon from every person in the United States. That's a lot of money. And so they have an incentive to lobby for it. So small groups lobby for special benefits at a cost to society. This is what cronyism is. When we had the bank bailouts and the DoddFrank regulations, Hillary was going to fight for these, and the Republicans are too. It's really kind of frightening. But what this does is it helps the really big banks. Because if I'm a big banker, I'm going to be able to have the legal and the accounting people to do these things, to abide by these laws. If you're a small bank, the cost of that is so prohibitive, you have to go out of business. And the paperwork becomes so prohibitive. And so we found out that 79% of banks gave free checking in 2009. Only 39% of them did in 2012. Why? Because the cost went up because of all these laws. I had a video I was going to show, but it won't come up. So it's about cronyism. Green energy subsidies, same thing. How does some governmental official know that Solyndra is the company that should be making these solar panels versus some other company? And why did Solyndra get those special payments? And this is not a Democrat thing or Republican thing, it's a government thing. Both sides do this. But what we see is that people want to benefit those who favor them. I was watching a video with Jack Abramoff, and he was a lobbyist. And he got sent to prison for many years, and then he's out, and he owes the government like $40 million. But he would go to congressmen, they would be chatting, they'd be friendly. The congressman says, well, you know, I really need some, my campaign's kind of hurt. And he said, well, you know, I can do a benefit at my house, we'll have a dinner, $2,000 plate dinner, and raise some money for you. I can raise $250,000. The congressman said, great, thank you. Oh, by the way, you have any issues you're concerned about? They were often telling me, I need this done, I need that done for my special interest group. And so this cronyism is just, it benefits the few, and costs to all of us. Basquiat talked about it, he called it the seen and the unseen. For example, when we have trade protection, people say, oh, well, that's going to protect jobs. And when we opened up with NAFTA, with Mexico, mostly free trade, in Kentucky, there was a fruit of the loom company. And that company moved its business, moved its operations down to Mexico. And the consequence was, we saw the chain and the lock going on the gates, and the plant closing down. This is what's seen. People lost their jobs. But what we didn't see is the price of underwear was cheaper. We had extra money to spend other places that we weren't spending before, which induces more jobs. And these people got jobs. Now, losing jobs is horrible, and people don't get jobs immediately. If they did, this wouldn't be an issue at all. But it takes time for people to get a job. But what is seen is the people losing their job. What is unseen is all the other jobs that are created because we have additional money to spend. And also the Mexicans, we're buying underwear from them now. What are they doing with those dollars? They're spending them in the United States also. So we just don't see where the jobs are that come from all that trade. So the wrong enemy is the rich versus the non-rich. The right enemy is the predators, cronies, and the rent seekers. Those are the people who are taking advantage of us. Rich people aren't taking advantage of us. Steve Jobs wasn't taking advantage of us, I don't think. Most people love Apple. They say, oh, well, he made a lot of money, so what? That's true with lots of business people. They make a lot of money. So what? Good for them. Maybe I'll do it someday. Maybe you guys will do it. I hope you do. But the people that are cronies, rent seekers, so rent seekers are the same thing as cronies and using the government for special privileges. Those are the ones that are doing harm to us. They're compelling us unjustly because they're reducing our choices and not allowing us to buy from as many people. So Baumol is an economist who wrote an article called Productive, Unproductive, and Destructive Entrepreneurship. With productive entrepreneurship, these are the entrepreneurs that are doing things where we're trading value for value, they're producing products we want and we're willing to pay for. Unproductive entrepreneurship is the rent seeking that we see going on. Use government for special treatment, increase your profits, so it's a cronyism. And then destructive entrepreneurship might be illegal activities, might be things where you actually destroy wealth. But anyhow, so the goal, I think, for us should be to get rid of the destructive and unproductive entrepreneurship. If we did so, we'd be much better off. So how do you get to productive entrepreneurship? You need governments to promote entrepreneurship in a way that allows individuals freedom. So you need to allow for personal choice, voluntary exchange. People can easily, you've got to allow people to enter markets if they want to enter markets. And then you've got to secure property rights. So personal choice. You make choices on your own. You're not compelled to do something else. When governments grow, they often replace this personal choice with some sort of political choice. They reduce your options. Think about your health insurance. You students all have to have health insurance. Now, you probably get it for your parents, but you're compelled to have health insurance now. Or at your age, you probably don't need health insurance. At my age, you do. But at your age, I don't remember anything happening to me except maybe a cold and flu. It goes away. The only thing you need to have insurance for is maybe catastrophic accidents. Social Security. You're compelled to give 16% of what you earn to the government. And then they're promising that they'll pay you back. Don't count on it. But they'll pay me back. You guys will be paid for me when I retire. But I don't know who's going to pay for you when you retire. But again, you're compelled. Now, some people aren't going to save for the retirement, but a lot of you guys will probably all save for your retirement. And so, but you're compelled to save additional through Social Security. Voluntary exchange. Individuals have the ability to trade freely with anybody they want, but some exchanges are restricted. So that these notes are a little old because I guess you can get Cuban cigars now. Still, it's not real easy. But if I wanted to buy a Cuban cigar when we had the embargo, who cares? What damage am I doing to anybody? Because our government doesn't like some other country's government, us individuals can't trade with other individuals in that country. That's very childish. Like, well, you can't play with them because they're friends with somebody else. So, it's very, very strange to me. If I want to work for $3 an hour, why can't I do that? Oh, that's right, there's a minimum wage. But I should be able to work for $3 an hour. If somebody wants to pay me $3 an hour and I want to do it, it's nobody's business but mine and the person I'm engaging in the trade with. A lot of places, you can't scalp tickets. I don't know what the rule is here in Florida. Can you scalp tickets for games? Anybody know? Go to the Dolphins game, the scalpers out there selling ticket prices? Nobody knows? Anyhow, some states it's illegal. Kentucky it's illegal. Indiana, where I live right across the river in Indiana, you can actually sell scalp tickets. And so, if I've got tickets for the NCAA playoffs, and let's say Kentucky's going to go, but nonetheless, if I have tickets, Kentucky fans would be willing to pay a lot of money for it. They're not going to pay for this year. But if I sold them to them in Kentucky, I'd be arrested if I sold them above face value. I go across the river, I can sell them for any price they're willing to pay. Nobody's harmed by this, but yet I'm not allowed to do it in Kentucky. And then freedom in inner markets. So there's lots of licensing requirements in states. And so these are some states that have different licensing requirements. There are like 102 occupations, low-income occupations, and Arizona has, in 64 of those occupations, you have to have a license to the top of those. So I was on a plane with a woman who owned a beauty parlor, and I said, well, why do you have to have a license to do people's hair? And she said, well, you need to go to school, you need to be trained. And I said, well, why is it so important? She goes, I said, what do you learn that you have to go for 2 years to school to do people's hair, to get a license? She goes, well, you learn how to sterilize the equipment. Okay, that takes 2 years. You learn how to cut hair. And so you probably want to go to somebody who's had some training, but I'm sure there's lots of people who could cut my hair, that could cut people's hair that really don't need a lot of training, they just have that skill. And they have to jump through all these hoops. So actually the most restrictive states, Florida is number 4. And so if you look at some of the things in Florida, and it's kind of hard to see, but if you're an interior designer, it's one of the 4 states where you have to have a license, Florida is. You have to pay $130 for the license. You have to have 2,190 days of education and or experience, maybe an internship. You got to take an exam, but there's no minimum age, so anybody can do this. So they've got all these different rules in states. Now, why would these rules be in place? Who benefits from these rules? What's that?
The state.
The state, right, because you have to pay a licensing fee, but also the people who already have the license, right? Because it eliminates competition. So then we have to pay higher prices for these services because there's not as many people providing these services. And so here, I think this is the worst one, the bill collector. You're going to be a bill collector, just kind of knock people's knees out of top of them. But you got to pay a fee of $1,524. And then you got to secure property rights. We already talked about lives on campus and the incentives when you have property rights versus when you don't have property rights. So economic freedom is important. And generally, when the government intervenes, it usually has a negative consequence on entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs are the catalyst for growth. Most employment comes from entrepreneurs. Paper by a couple papers here said that 1/3 to 1/2 of the difference in the economic growth rate between countries can be explained by the level of entrepreneurship. More entrepreneurship, more growth. We're better off. More growth means we have more things and the pie is bigger. Kraft and Sobel find that an environment of law, taxes, low regulation, or low taxes, low regulations, and secure private property rights was necessary to encourage entrepreneurship activity, and it's vital to producing economic growth. And so people are better off. All right, so I'm going to kind of skip through. By the way, Florida is very economically free, which is good. So there's an index called Economic Freedom of North America Index. It comes out every year. This last time it came out, Florida was ranked 4th, which means this is really a good state to be in. Driven a lot by income taxes. What do you pay? 0? Okay, so it's pretty nice. So entrepreneurship, if there's big government, there's more incentive for entrepreneurs to take advantage of that government and ask for special subsidies. Downtown areas, let's get a subsidy to spruce up downtown. Well, that should be downtown businesses should want to do that on their own, spend their own money. And so rent seekers reduce entrepreneurship. And so I'm running out of time here, so I'm going to kind of skip through this. But let me talk about corporate social responsibility. So we hear about corporate social responsibility. And who's a corporation to be responsible to? Well, good corporations care about everybody that I talked about earlier. Consumers, workers, community. But they need to care about it to the extent that it allows them to add value to their profits. And so we get this triple bottom line. People say, well, you have to worry about people, planet, and profits. Well, if I have a big overlap with the planet, that means that I can do things that are environmentally friendly and look really good. So Whole Foods kind of falls into this category. They care about people and planet and profits because it's a final product and people buy these goods from Whole Foods, and it's really a great situation. But if you're producing steel, this overlap probably looks more like this. And you don't have as big of an overlap. And they're saying, oh, well, you don't care about the planet? No, that's not the case. It's just that it's so costly for these firms to reduce their pollution that they may not choose to reduce it any further than they have to. And so I think it's important when we talk about corporate social responsibility, we think about the particular businesses and the choices they're making. All right, we'll skip that. So in conclusion, to be successful in the long term, moral behavior comes. Do not bow unjustly. Capitalism is moral because it allows us to maintain our individual liberties, and more economic freedom is going to give us more entrepreneurship. Okay, any questions? Yes, sir.
What are your feelings about Bernie getting so much done in the election?
So what do I think about Bernie getting, you guys feeling the Bernie? So that's a very interesting thing because Bernie is attracting young college-age kids, younger generation. Hillary's attracting the older generation. And it's true with females, and it's true pretty much in general. And I'm not real sure what has brought that about. I think it's really interesting. But I know I had a conversation probably 10 years ago with this kid, and we were talking about taxes. And he was just out of college. He said, oh, everybody should have to pay taxes. We need more of these goods and services. About 10 years later, he's now paying taxes and thinking, wait a minute, we don't need all these taxes. So maybe we ought to start taxing students a little more than they do. I don't want taxes, by the way, but I think it's because younger people haven't had the experience of having to pay taxes and engage in all the activities that government engages in. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Good evening. You talk about the importance of moral behavior, and it's the only way that companies and businesses and even governments can be successful in the long run. And every single system, as you mentioned, be it capitalism or socialism, is subject to study moral behavior. I think a lot of people seem to get confused between morals and ethics. And the reason why I talk about ethics is that every walk of life, be it politics or business or whatever, there are some ethics and some codes of ethics which people normally frame for the purpose of establishing a kind of conduct by which people should, code by which people should comply. But in some cases they don't really do that. So how important do you think ethics are in the aim of maintaining morality? And do you think that there should be a universal business or political code of ethics for any particular transaction or whatever it may be? What are your thoughts?
So the question is, do I think there should be a universal ethics that people should follow?
Yes, be it in business or politics or whatever.
And I think that morality is within each individual, and it's our choice, right? And so I wouldn't want to compel somebody to be ethical, because then I think that would be unethical. But I would definitely want to push people to be ethical, and if you're unethical, I don't want to deal with you, right? Now, if everybody's unethical, then it becomes very difficult. But most people, I think, are ethical. And so this distinction between ethics and morals, I'm not real sure where to go with that.
I think I'll talk to you about it later.
What's that?
I'll talk to you about it later.
Yes, please do. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
So in the graph that you showed, that the enemies
Oh, yeah.
are not the rich, but the ones who rent it.
I think so.
And I am just curious, but you showed in red the entire line. So you said that you can rent things from the top to the very poor, but I'm not sure, like, if like I have the means to rent the government. Like, you know, my question, like, can we rent the government, or only the people making a lot of profits?
So, yes, student loans. But you could ask the government, you could push the government to make student loans more available at lower interest rates. Some students probably do it here. I mean, there's nothing to push for. It's there and you take advantage of it. There's a distinction between taking advantage of something versus pushing the government to make the rules, I think. But poor people can benefit from certain rules. Now, whether or not they can politically lobby for that might be a difference. And it's very, very poor problem. But to some extent, it's good engagement. Maybe more at the local level than at the national or state level. Anybody else? One last question? All right, well, thank you very much.